One of the things I wanted to ask you, as a music producer, you've had the same representation for 25 years now, it is, with SJP and Dodgy. How important is that to find somebody to sort of represent you, and how important is that relationship?
Ooh. It's funny because for many years I didn't have any manager or representative, and slowly the record companies kind of respect you more if you do have a manager, you know, if you do have someone who's talking for you and someone who they can talk to, you see. So I think it is an important thing, you know, because it puts all that business side away from the creative side kind of thing. You know, it's like when I move into doing a job or something, I just leave SAFTA there to talk about all the business and the deal and that kind of thing. And also, when you're producing, it's quite a lonely job. You know, I don't really have a partner with me. I work with different engineers at different times. But it's always great to have someone who stands up for you, you know, who you can go to. And, you know, if you've got complaints or problems, you know, you can pour them all out on him, and you know that he's always going to stand up for you and speak out for you, you know.
And also, do you think it sort of really helps your creative process to have that buffer zone so you don't have to deal with those sorts of things while you want to be concentrating on that?
That's right. Yeah, it is important to have someone there like that. And another kind of misleading thing is that very often they kind of think that the manager gets you work. You know, you kind of, I've got a manager, so I don't have to go out and look for projects, which isn't always true. You know, because you know the manager obviously has contact with record companies and things, but sometimes it can have a bit of a negative effect because. People kind of are a bit frightened of, you know, being a bit too professional, or I don't know, it sounds a funny thing, but sometimes you know, people get a bit scared of managers because they can be a bit stroppy or they can ask for too much money and that kind of thing. So it's a kind of balance sometimes is needed, you know.
Now, if you were sort of advising somebody, an up-and-coming producer who's in there, at what point do you think these sorts of things you need to say to yourself, now I need management, now this is the point in my career where...
The point...
for you, certainly. Well, when did that point come?
That point came when the point when I needed a manager really came when record companies were asking who my manager was, you know. And of course, at the time, you know, I'd probably been working for about 10 years with it and just negotiating my own deals, like telling people what I wanted. And as soon as I did get a manager, of course, my fee kind of doubled, tripled, and I was quite shocked. I was saying, no, you can't ask for that. And they were going, why? That's cheap, you know. And of course, I didn't know what the market rate was for producing an album, and I was completely underselling myself, you know.
And is that sort of business overview of the industry overview that allows them to take part marketing you as an individual, because you are the commodity essentially?
That's right, yeah. It's very difficult to sell yourself kind of thing, or to know what you're worth. So yeah, as I say, he's always on my side, and he's always going to market me and put my name about kind of thing. But as I say as well, don't expect the manager to get you all your work, you know. You're still going to have to... It's still the reputation, really, that gets you the work, and how good your last record is, really.
Your reputation must carry you a fair way at this point in your career, John. Are there any other people that you'd really sort of like to work with, you know? And if in that situation, can you just call them up and say, hi, it's John Leckie, fancy doing an album?
No, I can't, actually. No.
How do you sort of find the people that you do produce for? You know, when you sort of say projects come along from experiences, always people contact you, or, you know?
Yeah, I'm actually quite lucky because I do work by invitation, really. It's very rare that I go out looking for work. I'm either too busy or I've got too much backlog of stuff, or people will always come to me. In fact, the only band that I really approached and begged to work with was the Verve. Was Richard Ashcroft and the Verve in the early days. I did their first record. Saw them by accident, really. They were support. I went to see some band and they were the support band, and I was so blown away with their performance. This is like their first LP. That I just followed every time they played around London. I'd go and see them to see if it was real, see if I was feeling the same.
So you're Richard Ashcroft's stalker, for a little while, anyway.
Yeah. No, the Verve were the only band that I actually pushed to do.
Now you're doing a masterclass here today. Is this something that you've done before, the sort of imparting of your knowledge thing, or is this a first for you?
It is a bit of a first for me. Yeah, I've done some question and answer panels. At various kind of conferences and things. I've sat on producer panels and often been a bit scared, but when it comes to it, it's usually a lot of fun, and you can't believe how quickly it goes. So, I don't usually do it at all, so I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know, I'm not really prepared, but we'll see what happens anyway.
Yeah, are there any questions that you always get asked?
Yeah.
Have I asked you any of them?
No, you haven't. No, they usually ask what Radiohead are like or something, or what John Lennon was like when I was tape op on a John Lennon record about 40 years ago. But they always go, "What was John Lennon like?"
Sort of back to the Abbey Road days.
And normal guy, really.
Aren't they all?
They are. Yeah, just normal people.
Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us, John. It's been a great experience for me and hopefully for all our viewers. This is Kat in association with the British Music Experience for LoopTV.